Think about the celebrities who dominate headlines, the ones whose every move sends the internet into a frenzy. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you actually heard them speak? Beyoncé hasn't done a sit-down interview in years. Frank Ocean vanishes for entire album cycles, and even Sade, an artist so legendary she's basically a genre, disappears for a decade at a time. And yet, their mystique only grows. So why do we obsess over celebrities who say nothing? And how does their silence turn into one of the most powerful branding tools in entertainment? Hey friends, I'm Ana The Marketeer, your friendly neighborhood marketing bestie. I break down the strategies that shape the brands we love so we can learn from them together. Today, we're talking about what I call the aura effect, the branding phenomenon that makes private celebrities feel larger than life, and how you can apply the same concepts to your own brand or business. But before we get started, it's come to my attention 94% of you watching my videos aren't subscribed to my channel. Don't be rude. Small and new channels like mine need your support more than ever. So if you've been enjoying learning about branding and marketing with me, hit that subscribe button right now. I'm watching, so you can see new videos every week. Okay, now that you've done that, let's get into it. So what is the aura effect? Some celebrities can disappear for years, rarely speak, and still dominate pop culture. It's like the less they do, the bigger they get. But why? I call it the aura effect, a branding strategy built on mystique, control, and scarcity. Instead of constantly engaging with the public, these celebrities create distance, allowing the world to project its own ideas onto them. Think about Beyoncé. She used to do press tours, interviews, and talk show appearances just like everyone else. But over time, she pulled back. Now, she only speaks through her art, her music, visuals, and curated social media posts. And the result? She feels untouchable, larger than life. Or take Frank Ocean. He's one of the most beloved artists of our time, yet he rarely gives interviews, barely posts online, and vanishes between albums. But when he does resurface, it's a moment. Fans obsess over every little detail, trying to piece together his next move. Even classic icons like Audrey Hepburn and Sade mastered this technique. They didn't flood the public with their presence. They withheld. And in doing so, they became timeless. The aura effect isn't about being absent. It's about strategic silence. It's about deliberately choosing when and how to engage, making sure that when you do speak, people listen. So why does the aura effect work so well? The answer lies in controlled scarcity. Scarcity psychology tells us that the rarer something is, the more valuable we perceive it to be. That's why luxury brands limit production, why exclusive clubs thrive on invite-only access, and why limited edition sneakers sell out in seconds. Celebrities who master controlled scarcity follow the same principle. The less they give us, the more we want. Beyoncé doesn't do traditional promo anymore. She doesn't need to. The absence of information makes everything she does feel like an event. Frank Ocean, his silence creates hype. When he finally releases something, fans treat it like it's a gift from the gods. Compare that to celebrities who are everywhere all the time. Their interviews, social media posts, and constant updates don't create anticipation. We get used to them. They become predictable, and predictability isn't exciting. The aura effect works because it keeps celebrities rare. And in a culture where attention is currency, keeping people wanting more is the most powerful move of all. Now that we know what the aura effect is and why it works, let's look at some of the best to ever do it. These are the celebrities who mastered the art of mystique, scarcity, and control over their own narrative. Beyoncé, the queen of controlled visibility. Beyoncé is the blueprint. Early in her career, she did the typical rounds, interviews, red carpets, talk show appearances, but as she ascended to icon status, she pulled back. Now we only hear from her through her terms, her music, her visuals, her own website. Think about it. When was the last time you saw Beyoncé sit down for a traditional interview? Exactly. And yet, her presence is everywhere. By keeping herself exclusive, she makes everything she does feel like an event. She announced her self-titled album with zero warning and the internet broke. She did it again with Lemonade, and even with the Renaissance tour. No press run, no interviews, just a tour announcement and a vibe. The result? The highest grossing tour by a female artist in history. She controls exactly what the public sees, and that's why her brand feels untouchable. Frank Ocean, The Art of the Vanishing Act. Frank Ocean is the epitome of the aura effect. He rarely speaks, barely posts, and disappears for years. Yet, his name still trends regularly. His last album, Blonde, dropped in 2016. That's nearly a decade ago. And yet, fans are still dissecting his old Tumblr posts looking for clues about his next move. Why? Because Frank understands that less is more. He makes us do the work, fill in the gaps, speculate, obsess. And when he does show up, it's chaos. His 2023 Coachella performance wasn't even great, and yet it was one of the most talked about performances of the year. Frank Ocean isn't just an artist, he's a myth, and that makes his brand timeless. Rihanna, the billionaire who stopped making music. Rihanna pulled the ultimate power move. She used the aura effect to shift her career entirely. She hasn't released an album since Anti in 2016, and yet she's still one of the biggest musicians on earth. How? By creating demand through absence. The moment she stopped making music, people wanted it more. The "Where's the album" memes became a cultural phenomenon. Every public appearance, every Instagram post, fans were begging for a release date. And what did she do? She built an empire. Fenty Beauty, Savage X Fenty, her name is now bigger than music. And when she finally did return for the Super Bowl halftime show, 100 million people tuned in. That's the power of the aura effect. Keep people craving more until your next move becomes a global event. As powerful as the aura effect is, it's not foolproof. If you overdo it, it can backfire. Let's talk about 3 ways it can go completely wrong. Number 1, too much mystery equals losing relevance. Being mysterious only works if people still care. Daft Punk was the ultimate enigma. No faces, no press, barely any social media presence. But after their last major album in 2013, they disappeared completely. By the time they officially broke up in 2021, it barely made an impact. Their mystique, once a powerful branding tool, had faded. They waited too long and the world moved on. The lesson? If you're going to disappear, you need to strategically reappear to keep the intrigue alive. Number 2, overshooting the mystery equals alienating your audience. Jared Leto tried to use the aura effect. He rarely does interviews, avoids the media, and leans into this mysterious rock star persona. But instead of making himself intriguing, he made himself weird. From his bizarre method acting stories to his literal cult-like fan retreats, Leto crossed the line from intriguing to off-putting. People weren't drawn in, they were turned off. The lesson? Mystery should make people curious, not uncomfortable. Number 3, not delivering when you finally reappear. Frank Ocean is a master of the aura effect, but even he slipped up. His 2023 Coachella performance was highly anticipated. Fans expected something legendary. Instead, they got a half-baked performance with last-minute changes, an awkward set design, and a noticeable lack of enthusiasm. The result? Disappointment. The mystique that once made him feel legendary suddenly made him feel detached. The takeaway? If you keep people waiting, you have to deliver when you finally return. Alright, now we've broken down the aura effect, let's talk about you. Because whether you're a brand, a creator, or someone who just wants to stand out, you can apply this strategy to make yourself more intriguing and memorable. Here's how to master the aura effect in your own branding. Number 1, control your narrative. Post with intention, not just for attention. The key to the aura effect is strategic scarcity. Beyonce isn't silent because she has nothing to say. She's silent because every time she does say something, something, it matters. So before you post, ask yourself, is this adding to your brand? Does this reinforce the image you want to build? If you're a creator, don't just post because you think you have to. Post with purpose. Every tweet, every Instagram story, every announcement should align with your larger brand vision. 2, give your audience just enough to keep them guessing. Think of your favorite TV show cliffhanger. You don't hate it. You love it because it keeps you coming back for more. That's the essence of the aura effect. Don't over-explain. Don't give away everything at once. If you're launching a project, tease it. Drop hints. Delete old posts right before an announcement. Make your audience lean in instead of just scrolling past. 3, limit your availability to increase demand. Ever notice how brands like Supreme or Chanel don't beg for attention? They don't flood the market. They don't need to. Their exclusivity creates demand. This applies to personal branding too. If you're constantly available, constantly in people's faces, there's no mystique. You don't need to disappear for years, but learn to make yourself valuable. For example, if you're a business owner, maybe you only open client slots twice a year. If you're an artist, maybe you only do interviews around a project instead of all the time. The less accessible you are, the more people want in. 4, when you do show up, make it count. This is the most important part. You can't just hide and expect people to care. The aura effect only works if when you do show up, you deliver. Beyonce's visuals are flawless. Rihanna's Savage X Fenty drops are events. Frank Ocean's music is art. If you're going to build mystique, make sure that when you finally give people what they're waiting for, it's worth the wait. So what's the takeaway here? Mystery is power. When you control what people see and how they see it, you shape their entire perception of you. The aura effect isn't about being silent. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing when to step forward and when to pull back, when to create distance and when to deliver something unforgettable. And whether you're a business, a creator, or just someone who wants to make an impact, remember this: people crave what they can't have. If you give them just enough to keep them wanting more, your brand will never be forgotten. So, are you ready to create your own aura effect? Let me know in the comments how you'd use this strategy, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world of branding and marketing. Until next time, marketeers, stay strategic, stay intentional, and most importantly, stay unpredictable.